Welcome back to the competitive sports series.
The absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that place?
I cannot believe my eyes.
Who comes out on top? Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all-or-nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NBR.
A race to remember for Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a season. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another Saturday of action. And, well, more action than usual. It's a mystery round. Nobody knows where we're going racing, but I do know who I have alongside me. That is no mystery. It's the man who I've had since the start of the season. It is the ever wonderful, the ever lovely, the ever magnificent looking. It is Frost. Firstly, how are you, my friend?
Not bad. I just realized I'm not wearing my CSS shirt tonight, so there's a problem.
Hey, I mean, if we're including that, I have been missing the mark every round since the start of the season. So hey, I'm sure we're not going to be losing sleep over one round. But what a round we had last time out! Once again, another action-filled round, a pretty crazy one once again. TF10 continuing to look strong. FER still very much in the hunt, though.
Yeah, after a 3-round not winning streak for FER, that's quite rare for them these days. They finally won a race again with Keaton Lutt coming across the line first last week around after quite the chaos. Pretty much throughout all the race, but especially at the end where a lot of things happened all at once. But they're back to winning ways, which means the gap has been reduced to 37 points. With 3 rounds remaining, one of them, which is today, is the mystery round. There's still a lot to play for. So yeah, I'm very curious to see if they can continue their winning ways or whether TF10 can strike back tonight.
Yes, hopefully it is going to be yet another round of action and a beautiful round of action at that. We don't know where we're going racing quite yet, but we will find out in due course. We are just getting everyone into the lobby, and once everybody's in, we will find out where we are going racing. But you know, these drivers, and we heard a bit of this last time out at the interview at the end of the last round. The way in which they approach these mystery rounds is they look at the calendar, what tracks can it not be, and then they just practice every other track. So maybe they're not as focused and dialed in for whatever track we do have, but they're probably going to have done a few laps on it, so they're not exactly going to be like a cold turkey.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. I mean, we've got 12 tracks on the calendar. 2 of them being mystery. So that means they have technically 13 tracks remaining right now to practice on, which is a lot of time to find throughout the week to make sure you've at least practiced the correct track once. But yeah, we're not going to know until the very last moment. They also do not know the other teams' lineups. They're only finding out right now as they are trickling into the lobby. I'm also being made aware that we're only 19 drivers in tonight. I believe one of the teams has a race ban to serve, that is TES, so only one Williams on track. We also have, Byron, fascinatingly, a double quali ban for ABS, and they are bottom of the standings, so that is a huge problem for them.
Yeah, especially when we look at the recent uptick in form that we've seen around other teams who were towards the bottom. It could leave ABS, I think, a little bit down and hurt, I think, a double quali ban. But 4 quali bans, 1 race ban, so we're only going to have 15 drivers actually setting times in qualifying at all. So going to be a bit of an interesting qualifying session. Maybe not the most representative, just because not everyone is going to be blasting around and setting times, but going to make an interesting race out of it because there's going to be people very much out of position in a place where they shouldn't be.
I'm really looking forward to that, actually, especially with a track that is unknown as of yet. While we're waiting for that to happen, let me quickly introduce tonight's drivers because they're all in right now. For VRM, we've got Victor Araujo and Theo Bulnes, I believe. Then for TTM, Lucas Shea and Lighty. FVR, I've got Aaron Raminguez, who's made the jump from AMR to FVR lately, so that's an interesting one. Diego Zorzo is alongside him. TF10 has got Rens Thomason alongside Cloud. AMR have got tonight Alex Lamas and Christophe Godor. ABS, both, of course, cannot qualify. But Marvin Golm and Hugo von Bon, Nathan and Nicolino for EVE. Then for ETA, we've got Matex alongside Aryan Sanga, who did really well a few weeks ago. Then for TES, the only driver tonight is Modesto Mina. And I believe NLR have brought in Steven Vaso and Lewis Jones, just like last week. And I think I have now covered every single team very quickly indeed. So let's find out which track it's going to be.
Yes, obviously, we have to be privy to it as commentators, just a little bit early. I'm just keeping tabs in the Discord to see when they get told, because they haven't quite been told just yet. But as soon as they have been told, we will share it to you guys. I'm literally sitting on the Discord waiting for it to be typed.
So exciting.
At this point, I'm going to type it because someone isn't. My message
Apparently you're supposed to type it, apparently.
Well, I shouldn't be typing it.
And then say it on the stream, because
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh, I say it on the stream.
look at that.
I was told to say it on the stream first. It's Canada.
There
ladies
we
and
are.
Gentlemen.
It's Canada indeed.
I typed it in the Discord. I thought they were supposed to find out before I tell it on the stream, but we are going racing tonight around the lovely Canada circuit, and not your maybe typical racing circuit. 14 turns, 2.7 miles, and 3 DRS zones to suit. But not much elevation change, but quite a few tricky corners, very tricky chicanes, and obviously that very ominous Wall of Champions. I do wonder who will find themselves in that tonight.
Not to mention the amount of track limits that are usually being found here in this track, especially on the chicane before the Wall of Champions. It's definitely going to be an interesting one indeed. Canada, I don't mind it at all, actually, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the drivers can bring to this track.
Yes, I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see the drivers. There's a mixed reaction. Some drivers not happy. They don't like the track. Others very happy. Really enjoy Canada. So Going to be interesting to see what we've got in terms of these drivers pace-wise. Who has practiced Canada already? Who hasn't practiced the track as well? We've got a real balancing act, I think, for a lot of drivers to get up to speed in qualifying and get up to that representative pace, but they don't want to push the limits too early on. If you go into the wall, break your tyre, that's it. Your qualifying's over. Towards the back, and, well, you're not getting any good practice in as well, because this almost, in a way, also acts as a bit of a practice session.
Definitely, yes. 18 minutes of qualifying coming up, followed by 35 laps around this track. I'm figuring out who's happy with it, who is not. So far, Hugo von Bon apparently really likes it. Some others, for example, it's a little bit hard to read, but one of the TTM guys is not too happy about it. One of the ET8 guys also, well, not too happy about it either. So yeah, like you said, mixed reactions. All drivers are in the lobby right now. We're just waiting for them to ready up, and then we're on our way. And then we're going to find out who actually did practice it. I haven't seen anybody say in the chat so far that they didn't practice. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they're just trying to hide. They haven't practiced a single lap around here. Although I doubt it. I mean, if you're practicing one track, it probably should be this one, because it's easy to get into, and you get around quite quickly, don't you?
Yeah, and it's also quite a good track that's got a mix of corners, so it does lend itself quite well to those sort of almost practice sessions, like change to the complete wrong scene. But yeah, no, very much lends itself to a variety of corners, very tricky corners as well, some of them. So these drivers, I think, probably have done a few laps around here, and I think they'll be looking forward to the challenge tonight. But we are just a few minutes away from taking you trackside for the qualifying session around here for round number 10 of this championship. And it's going to be really interesting. Quite a few drivers with qualifying bans, and one driver sitting on the bench as he has a race ban there over at Thomas Unger Sim Racing. But 80 minutes of qualifying heading your way. So let's take you trackside as qualifying gets underway.
Indeed we do, and let's see whether or not one of the Haas cars is going to be out first. They used to do that when Aaron Dominguez was part of their team, but now he switched over to a new one, so I wonder if we now will see a Mercedes go out first and foremost. It's news to me, by the way. I don't really follow any of the drivers on any social media whatsoever, so it's always interesting to see how people swap around several teams, and I think FER could consider themselves very lucky with Aaron Dominguez, because he's been absolutely flying in qualifying sessions. Not so much in the races just yet, but maybe he's found some newfound energy here with a new team, fresh faces, fresh people around him. Maybe give him some extra motivation to push hard in the races as well. And that might bring him some good results for the team, which they need, because the season is coming to a close, whether you like it or not. And FER are still trailing TF10 by several points. 37, as I said, to be precise. So yeah, they've got work to do.
Yeah, plenty of work to be done for quite a few drivers and teams in the grid. But going to be interesting to see, as we do kind of see that over the season. A few drivers and teams changing about their roster, and it does provide a real flexibility that we don't see too often and too much across the world of the real world of motorsport, but within sim racing happens quite a lot. These drivers always moving about quite nicely, but 80 minutes of qualifying already underway. Took a little longer than I think usual for a few drivers to get out on track, but Rens Thomassen not in any form of sluggish mood, as he's already overtaken and gotten past Nicolano there on the road, and he's in a hurry to get on with qualifying.
He is. The Dutch like to go out first and foremost, and this man's definitely Dutch, judging by the name. Rens Thomason coming round the final chicane as he starts the first ever hot lap here tonight on our mystery track, which is definitely Canada, as he goes into turns 1 and 2, looking quite smooth indeed. TF10 needs some strong performances tonight again to stay in that championship fight, to keep the lead healthy and strong, as he invalidates it there through turn 4, which is not difficult to do, actually. So fair play to him for trying, but unfortunately not meant to be. That means we're going to switch our attention, I believe, to the car behind him, which is Nicolino. I remember him from qualifying night, so I do not believe we have seen him in between qualifying night and this race, unless my memory is quite wrong. Nicolino was very, very fast for the team, and EVE is definitely on the rise since 2 weeks ago when they won their first race in Singapore. Purple middle sector, 40.691. A bit of a lock up there as he goes into the hairpin and onto the back straight. Then with the DRS is going to be wide open. It's the pedal to wide all the way to the floor. And then just the chicane and the wall of champions to go. And then we're going to find out what the first lap time of tonight is going to be, unless he messes it up here. No, he doesn't. Then he comes onto the main straight. Whoa, the Ferrari in the background had a bit of a problem right there as he goes across the line. 1 minute 8.3. Quite rapid indeed. Looks like the Ferrari behind him actually messed up the lap, and Lewis Jones does go faster than that with an 8.0, followed by his own teammate Steven Vaso with an 8.3. And to be fair, NLR need a decent result this season.
Yes, it's been a difficult season, I think, for them, but it's getting a good session underway for quite a few drivers as the first laps do come on. And NLR, yeah, they've got that good start to qualifying. They've just got to try and convert it as much as they can now, as next across the line will be Christophe Godor. He won't set a lap time. What can Victor do there? He goes up to 6th. Cloud then slots into 5th. So quite a few drivers getting their laps on the board now, and these early runs are really going to give us a bit of an indication as to the pace they'll take through this weekend, because this is a good momentum builder.
Indeed, but I can't help but notice that many drivers have invalidated their banker lap. Next across the line, Aryan Sanga for ET8 goes with a 1 minute 10.9. I'm certain he messed up somewhere, because that's very out of character for him to go with a 1 minute 10.9 right there. So another chance on the horizon for him later down the line. I believe everybody else except Rens is currently on an in lap, because Rens is already out for a second time at the moment. Everybody else you can see on the minimap, except for one of the Ferraris. I believe that is Lighty, another very quick qualifier, is about to cross the line as well. Where is he going to go? Not surprisingly, to the front of the field in 2nd place for now for TTM, which will make them quite happy about that indeed. So then, first laps completed, whether it was valid or not. It's all over right now. I believe Alex Lamas might actually be still on his way. Yes, he is. Alex Lamas for AMR. AMR have been dropping down the standings a lot lately, so they need some strong results. Alex Lamas goes 7th fastest, which is not bad at all, with a 1 minute 8.400. So then, they make themselves into the mix into P7. Looking at VRM, P10 and 11 at the moment. And then there is still 5 drivers without a lap time so far, as Aryan Sanga does go faster and fastest. Not yet fastest, but it looks like it's more like where he should be in P3 for now.
Yes, looking quite good at the moment for ET8 there with Ariane Sang. They are in a good place at this stage in the session, but we have got quite a way to go in this session. Still 12 minutes on the clock. Lighty, though, did a really good job to get into that 2nd place. And NLR still looking really strong. We're used to seeing them strong, though, at the start of qualifying and maybe taper off a bit towards the end. So can they keep maybe that momentum going? Because I think if they can keep that momentum through an entire qualifying session, get a good result, then take that forward into the race, I think it would really pay dividends for them. But Rens Thomason trying to get his first lap on the board now, all the way down in 30th, not got a lap time at the moment, goes to the top of the timesheet, and that is a real healthy margin.
1 minute 7.8. I already saw a purple millisecond from him, so it was looking promising, and promising it was indeed, as he goes fastest overall. Beats Lewis Jones to the line with about 1.5 tenths to spare. Whoa, he's really enthusiastic about it himself, by the way, as he drifts through the corners right there. We're going to have to swap our attention to another driver on his way. I believe it's Lucas Shea. Let's see if he can get anywhere close to Lighty's lap time as he's still going through Sector 1. Let's see what his lap time is going to be at the end of that particular sector, 18.9. Of course, we've got nothing to compare it with from his own laps. A bit of wobbly moment there through turns 6 and 7. One of the McLaren cars just ahead of him. Another DRS section right here. Another crucial part coming up right there with turns 8 and 9, staying nicely within those wide and fancy lines as he comes to the end of sector number 2, 40.8. That is half a second slower than Rens already. So at the moment, looking towards somewhere of 1 minute 8.3, maybe 8.2, if he can find some extra time here on the final stretch. We got a yellow flag in sector 2. That's one of the Alpines currently not moving yet. Might be that he moved out of the way right there, as Lucas Shea goes through the final chicane and through a McLaren as well, as he comes across the line to put in the lap time for himself. That is a 1 minute 8.4, which is only good enough for P10 for now.
Must say, a lot of drivers in that situation would start complaining and throwing a hissy fit that the car in front was impeding them. Not Lucas Shea, just getting on with it. Go through the corner, take it to the line, no problem whatsoever. That is a racing driver who just wants to get their head down and get on with the job. And he did an absolute brilliant job. Good banker lap on the board, just got to get round, change those tyres and go again. But I think he'll be quite happy with that.
Nathan going P12 ahead of Cloud, Theobodas and Victor Araujo. And I'm trying to find somebody else on a lap time. Look at that, Aaron Mingus improves to P3, 8.0. But so far, nobody but Rens has been able to smash that 1 minute 8 limit. Only Lewis Jones is currently closest. That is only his first attempt, but he's invalidated his second one as he was drifting through the corners right there. So I'm switching the attention to one of the McLarens on the back straight. That is actually Victor coming into the pit box as well. One of the Ferraris right behind that is Lucas Shea, followed by an Aston Martin, and that is actually Adrian Sanga, who's about to start his lap. Then switching to, well, the drivers behind him are also having an invalid lap right there. So I guess, Byron, back to Arjen for a lap around Canada.
Yes, a lot of drivers having a bit of a rough second lap. Theo Bones in 14th is on a lap. I think he's going to finish this lap. Where will it take him? It's not a great lap. In fact, actually, I think that's going to be a second cool down or hot warm-up lap for him. Bit of an interesting choice, but Matex is on a valid lap time. No, he's not. Invalidated at the final corner. Is anyone going to set a valid second lap time? It doesn't appear so.
No, Stephen Vaso and Aaron Ramirez have improved, both of them on their second attempt, now third and fourth. Lighty at the moment has invalidated as well, was about 1.5 tenths quicker through Sector 1, making him getting very close to the 1 minute 8.0 mark. While Dutchman Rens Thomason is on his way again for another attempt. So let's follow him around once more. End of Sector 1. Can he get off some more time? Yeah, he does. 5 milliseconds to be precise. Not a lot, but it's still better than his previous attempts. So it's looking quite good for him indeed. And he's doing some great business for his team. His nearest rival, Aaron Ramirez, is currently sitting in B3 as he throws the car with all his might into turns 8 and 9, absolutely drifting like it's a rally out there. Through the middle sector, he actually lost some time right there. I wouldn't be surprised if the drift was a little bit too much for the car to handle as he comes onto the back straight through the hairpin. DRS wide open once again. Rens on his way to the chicane and the Wall of Champions. Can he still find some extra time, or is he going to bail out right here? No, he isn't. He decided to continue on and invalidate, unfortunately, through the chicane. That means another lap down the drain. It would have been a 1 minute 7.7, but that might have been because of the corner cut at the chicane.
Yes, difficult one there, and the only other driver on a hot lap, Nicolino, has also invalidated. Welcome to the Invalidation Club, ladies and gentlemen. About everyone wants to be an exclusive member, to the point it doesn't feel like a very exclusive club anymore. But qualifying still must go on, and the man who got his good banker lap time in a few moments ago is the next man on a hot lap. It's Lucas Shea. He's in 11th at the moment. not a bad place to be, but wants to make an improvement. And nearly 2 attempts in Sector 1 is not a bad way to open up your second flying lap. So, good lap time and looking on the board at paper at the moment for Lucas Shea as we go through that Sector 2 towards this tricky hairpin. And yeah, turn 10 taken...
Wow.
Very nicely. So a really good lap time shaping up here for the TTM man that may even see him qualify better than his teammate Lighty, who we know is an exceptional qualifier. So this could be a brilliant lap time from the Scuderia man in representing TTM tonight. Up to the line now. Where can he take it in qualifying? Is it to the top?
Whoa!
Oh, it is to the top. That's unexpected. What a lap time.
7 tenths quicker almost, 6.696 to be precise right there, as Lewis Jones was about to cross the line. He was 3 tenths faster in the middle sector. That would have been another almighty lap time. Unfortunately, it was not meant to be. And trying to find another top driver on his way at the moment, Stephen Vaso invalidated, and Raminges has just started his hot lap. So that might be another one to keep an eye out for. But Lighty, I believe, is on his way as well. Has just started his hot lap out there too. Just a little bit behind Aaron Raminges at the moment. And as I'm switching back to Aaron, he's actually invalidated his lap, which is very unfortunate. We see Alex Lamas leaving the session. Some potential connection issues for him right there. 4.5 minutes remain. Things are definitely starting to become quite exciting out there. Aryan Sanga invalidated. Matex on an outlap at the moment. So I believe our attention... No, never mind. Lighty also invalidated right there. It's so difficult to find out who is on a proper hot lap. Nathan himself too invalidated. Currently 7th fastest. So I think we're going to have to wait for everybody's final run.
Yeah, it appears a lot of people had a bit of a difficult second run here, third run, sorry, and well, pretty much everyone's going to be looking towards that final run. Really noticed an interesting tactic being used by Christoph Godor, who's at the back of the grid. He has a qualifying ban, if I'm correct, for AMR. So what he's doing is he's intentionally invalidating his laps, and he's just driving around the circuit. As
I
far
believe
as
he should retire at some point, right?
I believe so, but I don't know.
Did he find a loophole in the rules?
Is there a loophole in the rules that's allowing this to happen? If he is, absolutely fair play, because especially when it's a mystery round, any practice they can get is imperative to the result they get in the race. So if he has found a little cheeky rule that's going to help him in his chances in the race and mean that those 3 drivers behind as well, you know, you've got Marvin, Modesto Mena and Hugo Fontbon, all 3 of whom have retired. They can't get any practice. So if there is a loophole, he's definitely going to be getting a bit of an advantage from it.
Yeah, because believe it or not, if you retire straight away, you're going to stay last, and everybody who goes out of the lap will be ahead of you on the grid. So he's definitely taken advantage there against Modesto and Hugo, but he didn't manage to do it against Marvin, who applied the same trick, but somehow still managed to stay ahead, despite Christoph having done, I believe, a lot more laps than Marvin has. We see, in the meanwhile, everybody trickling out of the pit lane for their final attempts. Let's hope for their sakes all of those laps are going to be valid, because that means we're going to have a very exciting qualifying ahead of us for the final 2 minutes. Lucas Shea still leads Rens Thomason with just under a tenth of a second ahead of the Red Bull. Lewis Jones still has his initial lap time on the board, which is still good enough for P3, by the way, which should be promising for his final attempt. His teammate not too far behind in P5, with Aaron Raminges right in between them. And I believe the first drivers are starting their final laps right now.
Yeah, well, Nicolino has offset himself from the grid, and he's on a hot lap at the moment. So he's already getting quite nicely underway. He's literally just coming around the final couple of bends. This will be his final lap of anger, unless he's really backed off on this one to recharge battery. No, it's a 3.5 tenth improvement to take him to 4th. That's a really strong lap time from Nicolano for EVE. Once again, looking stronger than ever. EVE somewhere they keep finding pace and performance. And you just got to look and wonder where it's coming from. But Steven Vasso, he's on a good lap as well, a 10th improved as well. He'll be the next man to come across the line and set his final flying lap time. But a lot rides on all of these lap times. They are really make or break here. Steven Vasso coming through that final corner, don't want to invalidate here. Lucky and keeps it nicely on the road. Won't invalidate up to the line. It's an improvement to 4th.
Indeed it is, and I'm trying to quickly find the next car to cross the line and finish a hot lap. The cars currently crossing it are starting it, and just in time as well. I believe Nathan, another EVE driver, is on his way. 66 milliseconds quicker through Sector 2. So there might be a position, potentially an improvement for him there, unless he finds a lot more time through the final sector. What's it going to be for Nathan? He does improve, goes up to P7. Strong performance there for him, for the team as well. Next across the line, Lighty, and unsurprisingly goes fastest overall, but by a tiny margin only. So that could have been a lot more, I believe, for him. He might be slightly disappointed by that one. We see Rens Thomason, there he goes, fastest overall across the line. Diego Zorzo does improve to P5 right there with an 8.0. Next across the line, one of the VRM cars, that is Victor Araujo, who goes 14th fastest. Next across the line, Lewis Jones, he does go faster than Rens with a 7.6. His mighty banker lap was still strong, but it was even stronger right there as he goes onto provisional pole. Who can still beat that? Matix and Arian Sanga certainly can't. They stay 10th and 11th fastest. And that's Christoph Godor crossing the line. He does set a lap time. That is a problem for the team. He does not know he's got a qualifying ban. It's a major issue there for AMR, who might see themselves getting a free race ban out of this interesting moment right there. Bad news. Then a few more drivers remain. That's Aaron Ramingus, I believe, the only driver in a proper hot lap right now. The only driver who can make it difficult for the top two. We only found a marginal improvement in Sector 2. So what's it going to be then for Aaron Ramingus? He jumps to P5 ahead of his teammate, right behind both TTM drivers. And therefore it's Lewis Jones who takes pole position from Rens on the front row.
Yes, that is interesting. I'm pretty sure it was told in my ear that we had 4 people with qualifying bans. If that's the case, someone is going to be not racing with us next time out. Someone may be a little bit in trouble.
I can't find the qualifying ban for AMR, actually. I can only find it for TES and ABS.
Ah, there you go.
There we go. No qualifying bans at all.
4 drivers had qualifying bans, but one of them counts as a race ban. So that's why we're confused. Only 3 drivers shouldn't have set a lap time. That's what we got though. Lewis Jones for NLR on pole position. A good end to their qualifying session, followed by Rens Thomason looking ever mighty. Then both TTMs looking strong as well. Aaron Domingos, Diego Zorzo rounding out that 3rd row of the grid. Steven Vasso, Nicolino and Nathan, both of the EVEs in the top 10. It's been a while since you've said that in a qualifying session. Then Matex, Cloud, Arian Sanga, Alex Lamas, and then Christoph, and a few drivers behind that I'm not quite going to get to before we take us back to those camera graphics. So we can build up towards this race. But what an interesting 18-minute qualifying session we just had.
Indeed, yeah, it's actually the VRN drivers who are on the back of the field in terms of lap times tonight. They only have the ABS drivers and TES's Modesto Mino behind them. It's not looking that good for VRM at the moment. They're also 9th in the standings right now. Still got quite the gap to ABS, so it could have been worse. And they are only a little bit behind EVE and AMR. But they really didn't have a brilliant season just yet. I'm looking at their results so far. Their best result is a 2nd place in round number 7. And that was actually, from the top of my head, Mexico. So that is the strongest result for them just yet. Other than that, some good points in round 6, round 8 as well. But other than those results, it's not been a very straightforward season for the Papaya team out there. Although, let's be honest, it could have been worse, could have been as bad as ABS's season. They have had a nightmare season so far. And with this double qualifying ban, they've got a lot to work to. So let's hope for their sakes they can turn things around tonight.
Yes, a lot of things riding on this one. Apologies there, I've accidentally done something I wasn't meaning to do. Let's do that back. Trying to keep on top of everything and manage a stream is a lot more difficult than it looks, ladies and gentlemen. But, yeah, I think we are in for a real treat here in the next, well, hour and a half or so. Not hour and a half. Probably about an
half
hour.
of that.
Yeah, probably about half of that. Probably about just under an hour. But I really do like these sort of races where we can really get stuck in. And I think tonight is just going to be one of those sort of races where everything happens, because that's what Canada does.
Indeed, I was a little bit distracted by the YouTube chat right there. As Nordic Ninja says, EVE is gonna gun for a podium, or at least that is his hope right there. So there's some encouragement for the team in the Alpines. As I said, on the rise right now, and they're still quite strong. Their last race out wasn't as strong as their race in Singapore, but there's still some good hope for them. Both of them starting in the top 10. I'm looking at the other teams, and I'd like to mention NLR as well, because just as VRM, they've only had one second place at the end of the entire season, is in round 3 actually, and last week, especially in China, there was a humongous nightmare for them. They qualified so well, but then all hell broke loose. They lost out badly, especially Lewis Jones at the start of the race. He had some issues in qualifying, I remember, when he turned left onto a straight, and then he lost it again on the left first, 2 or 3 laps of the race, I believe. So let's see if they can turn things around. They're not that far behind TES, who only have one driver tonight. That is the fighter P5 right there. And even P4 is not that far away, with the ET8 currently occupying that slot. And they're qualifying tonight, not having been the most brilliant.
Yeah, there's a few, I think, people who are going to be looking at where the pace was for them in qualifying. I think quite a few people will be thinking there maybe wasn't as much pace in the tank as they maybe thought. Yeah, bit of a difficult one. I think a bit of a tough pill to swallow for quite a few drivers on the grid. I do apologise for the fact I keep making everything look so silly. The camera scaling, for some reason, just doesn't seem to work very well. But we are getting the lobby restart sorted, and we should then be able to go racing. And I think we're set up for a really interesting race here. A few people really out of position, but I think there's a real good few talking points as well, with the likes of TTM looking super strong, but then also NLR looking good as well.
Yeah, TTM, of course, having got a double podium last week, 2nd and 3rd behind Keaton Lutt. So a great result by them last week. And this week, again, 3rd and 4th, the entire 2nd row is theirs. And they've got FVR behind them. So TF10, of course, is going to hope. TTM is going to nag them a little bit there, trying to keep them behind. But we do know the pair of Aaron Mingus and Diego Zorzo, I think, is going to be really, really strong on the race. We know that both of them have got great race pace. Aaron's qualifying pace, I have to admit, despite being only 3/10 behind pole position, is a little disappointing. I expected a bit more from him. But the biggest surprise, I'd say, from what I've seen from him so far, even if it was only one race, is Aryan Sanga in 12th place. I think it's a little bit further away than I expected him to be honest.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be quite a few people feeling that way possibly at the end of that qualifying session, because it wasn't an easy one when you're thrown in the deep end on a track that you may or may not have practiced. You know, we look at that qualifying session, we can kind of always pick out who may have practiced that track most recently, right? Because, you know, if you're looking super duper good and towards the top of the timesheets, I wonder what track they may have practiced before they headed to the lobby. You know, they all take a gamble at the start of this, you know, about who and what tracks they race in preparation. But you could always maybe see a little bit those who have prepared that specific track normally hover towards the top of the timesheets the entire way through, and LR seemingly did, so I wonder what track they practiced.
Yeah, they managed to avoid the track limits best. I've been informed by Danny that Arjen was on a potential 1 minute 7.7, which would have brought him either P3 or P4, depending on how big that 0.7 was. Unfortunately, it was out of the track limits right there, which is, of course, the nature of this track. It's tough to swallow, but he's going to start from P12, whether you like it or not, and he's going to have to find his way through the field from there. They are currently sandwiching one of the TF10 drivers, which might have also been victimized by the track limits right there. Cloud in P11 is quite far away from his teammate Rens Thomason, who is currently occupying the front row. And I do expect quite the fierce battle between the front row guys, Lewis Jones and Rens, because they are very close in lap times indeed. Lighty and Lucas Shea, of course, are going to work together to make sure they can take a 1-2 home with for TTM right there, and they need that. Their last win was in round number 2. Then had a podium in round 5, a double DNF 1 week later to get back onto a double podium last week round. So they are on the rise as well. And they are currently 80 points behind second place, which is technically possible to still overtake. But it's going to be really difficult because that team in second place is FVR, and they are both right behind them on the grid.
Yeah, going to be a difficult, I think, race for quite a few. We've got FVR who are trying to chase down that P1 spot that TF10 currently have a bit of a stronghold on, and then you've got TTM. They want to try and bolster their chances and move themselves up as well. So, there's quite a few, I think, teams who are going to be really aware of those around them and the ramifications of an incident or anything that happens, right? If TTM has a clash with an FVR and, well, the TTM's at fault, the impact in terms of the championship and the grand scheme of things is absolutely huge. So I think especially some of those more towards the top going to be playing it very calm and conservatively to begin with. I think we'll see everyone maybe being a little bit more on the aggressive side in the latter stages of the race, but the ready up signal has been given for the drivers, so we will soon be able to find out.
At long last. Took a little while. The lobby had to be restarted entirely due to an FPS glitch, apparently, which is unfortunate. But those things happen in this game. So now we are about to get underway indeed. 19 drivers very much ready to get going. ABS starting from the back with Modesto Mina for TES doing the exact same thing. Let's see where they can make their way to in this race. Of course, ABS especially had a dream result on the cards last week in China. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, meaning they still are sitting in last place. That gap is getting bigger and bigger. 41 points right now behind VRM. They need to get those big results in if they want to get rid of that last position, because let's be fair, ABS is a veteran team. They've been around for many seasons now. It's a little bit painful to see them right there. They should be a bit higher up in the standings, but they've got to do it themselves. They've got to try and stay out of trouble and make sure they fight their way to the front of the field.
Indeed, it's going to be a really interesting race ahead of us. We are getting pretty much there, and we take you trackside in just a moment's time, but going to be a really good one, I think, tonight.
Ooh.
We are very much going to be having a nice
Look
one.
at that.
And you can't see it quite yet, because I haven't taken us trackside, but let's take you trackside to a very soggy Montreal. My telemetry says light rain in 9 minutes, so it doesn't seem to think it's raining particularly heavy now. I wonder what the tyre compounds will be.
I think it's going to be Inters, potentially. The track doesn't look that wet. Maybe it's on the crossover point at the moment. My telemetry will only be updated when the race starts. Then we might have a proper idea on the weather that's going to be plaguing this track. But it's not a surprise. Canada, of course, is not very uncommon to have rain around this place. So this is going to be fascinating. Will the top 2 drivers be able to keep their positions, or will we see somebody else rise to the top for their team? We know some drivers go off really well in these particular conditions, and we have quite a few wet races already this season. So I'm looking forward to see what they can do with the semi-wet start potentially. Although, to be fair, I don't see a lot of puddles, so maybe, as I said, it could be the crossover point. It's a big question mark. We won't know until we actually get started. I'm trying to look at those cars on the right side of my screen. Can't see the tires they're currently having.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
No, it's a bit too far away, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, got 20/20 vision, and even I can't spot if there's grooves on those tyres in the distance. I do see, though, the intermediates in the garage, which does normally indicate...
That's a fair point.
That does normally indicate a general idea of where we're at in terms of the weather conditions. Typically, you can sometimes spot them changing as the driver chooses their tyre compound. But I suppose even then, we still won't know until the ready-up signal's been given, because a lot of drivers will leave it until the last second to choose their tyre compound, just to try and maybe throw anyone else off who's looking at the race director and trying to be a little bit cheeky and a bit sneaky at the same time. But we are going to be getting underway very, very shortly for Canada, round number 10 of the championship. And, well, only 2 rounds to go after this one. And this is the final mystery round of our season. But I suppose the mystery we're wondering more so is not the track, it's the tyres.
Indeed. As you said, the Inters are sitting in the garage, as are those pit crew members. And one of them, the Mercedes garage, is really excited to get going. And we do get going at long last. The first light isn't working, but the other 4 are. There we go. 5 lights are now properly on. And we are officially on our way. And it looks like intermediates indeed from the get-go. Lewis Jones gets off the line quite well. Already has covered Rens Thomason into turn 1. But Lighty's definitely having a go at the Red Bull. Has to go around the outside in turn 2. Trying to find every single bit of grip as his teammate is attacked from behind as well. Aaron Raminges, and a chaotic moment in the background.
Stephen Vaso already out!
Down the field. Diego Zorzo is spun around. Stephen Vaso is out. Another disaster then for NLR at the start of the race. And the virtual safety car, which gives us a little bit of breathing room to recount what happened exactly. We saw it in the background at the start of the race right there. Diego Zorzo might have been punted from behind. Stephen Vaso was involved in the incident as well. And that is terrible news for those 2 teams, especially NLR, who are trying to aim for a seriously strong result, but also for FVR, who need a good result to keep the championship fight alive. With 2 rounds remaining after this one, they only now have Aaron Raminges in P5, with their rival Rens in P2, but Cloud is in P12, which is still better than Diego's position, who has to swap his front wing, because I believe that damage is too big to ignore.
Yes, a really interesting start to the race there. Already a bit of an incident, but these are very slippy and difficult conditions to be racing in. It says the telemetry. Rain all the time, so we should have rain the entire way through this
That's
race.
interesting.
So,
My telemetry says it's going to be dry.
oh, well, interesting. Even our telemetries can't agree. 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and a 10-second time penalty for ignoring a drive-through for speeding under yellow flag as well. A lot of drivers really struggling there, specifically Theo and Diego Zorzo. But back up to green flag running. Surprised that wasn't a safety car, but everyone nicely back up to speed. And Aaron Raminges looking on the hunt of Lucas Shea.
He's doing a quite good job at it, and as is Rens Thomason, by the way, he's all over the back of Lewis Jones. He's getting really close, probably not being able to overtake in turn 8. That would have been very brave indeed, but an opportunity coming up right here towards the hairpin. He's going to have to go around the outside, but he found a bit more grip coming out of the corners. He's going to go for a dive into turn 10, yes he does, on the inside. A strong drift in there into the corner as he tries to take the lead. Oh, they nearly take each other out. That was quite a touch and go right there. But he does get the lead from Lewis Jones, who gets a poor exit after the contact, allowing Lighty to attack the RB car there as well as they head into the chicane. What's going to happen? Lighty wisely decides to back out of the attack right there, as he might get another opportunity out of the chicane. He doesn't. Lewis Jones, though, does get awfully close to Rens Thomason as they go into turn 1. Not yet. He has to back out a little bit longer. He was a bit too far behind as Lighty is already back at his doorstep, trying to get past once more. We're only 3 laps in, and already a lot of things are happening. You can see in the timing sheet as well, Marvin Golm, Victor Arajo swapping positions left, right, and center, as Marvin is the first ABS driver to get into the points tonight.
Yes, good job from Marvin, as Hugo Fonbon follows nice and suit to get into 15th as well. Already 2 drivers really back down on the back foot in this race. Diego Zorzo and Theo Victor has retired as well. That's a safety car that time around. Not quite sure what's happened there, but...
It just crashed out.
Yeah, safety car already in this race, and Rens Thomason, Lewis Jones, Lighty, everyone who is battling, their race neutralised, and well, a bit of an opportunity to maybe calm down a bit from the chaos that we've had up to this point.
It's good news, though, for Diego Zorzo and Theo Bulnes. Already somebody in the chat saying #Crushgate, because Victor just helped his teammates back into the race, pretty much. They were almost a lap behind due to a drive-through and a 10-second time penalty had to serve. We see Rens Thomason being brave, switching to a set of hard tires. That is interesting. He's the only one to do so. Or maybe Modesto, Marvin, and Hugo are doing the same thing. Let's see what they do. Yes, they do switch to the hard tires. So they believe the telemetry that's saying it's going to be dry is the one that is correct. That is fascinating. I wonder if they've made the right choice. Actually, Marvin Golm and Hugo van Bon have decided to go for a fresh set of inters. So, not only our telemetries are disagreeing, it seems.
Yes, definitely a bit of a calculated gamble for Rens Thomason and Modesto Mena. But, I mean, I was really curious about the fact they came into the pits. I wasn't expecting anyone to come into the pit lane so early on in the race as well. But clearly, a bit of question marks over the weather conditions. And, well, it doesn't look like Rens Thomason is exactly struggling for grip on the hard compound tyres, but you know, it's going to be difficult to take those, you know, in these conditions. It is going to be slippy, it is going to be difficult, and also the fact of taking those to the end of the race, they're going to be very second hand.
This is a humongous gamble, isn't it, by TF10? They've thrown away a potential chance at the race win by pitting Rens. Maybe they should have pitted Cloud to test out whether the conditions were right, but they've chosen their lead driver, who was fighting for the win just moments ago. He's now behind his own teammate in P12. He's got Modesto Mena behind him, who's decided to take the gamble as well, but they have got much less to lose. They've got one driver, and they are like, why not? Let's just give it a try. ABS have gambled the other way. They've decided to go for fresh inters, as has Theo Bulnes. Diego Zorzo is also still out on the intermediate tires. He's had another opportunity to go into the pit lane, but decided to go through the chicane as well, as he decides to try and catch up the field as soon as he can. I think Diego can make it, but I wonder if Theo can do the same thing. He's still so far behind at the moment. In fact, he's going into the pit lane to make the distance to the safety car even bigger. And he is going to gamble, I think, for those tires as well. And unless I'm mistaken, Byron, the rain has just stopped.
Yes, it does appear that the rain has indeed stopped. So, going to be interesting now, because, well, we're going to go to green flag running. And, well, everyone is going to be in a bit of a different situation. I thought it was interesting that TF10 didn't pit both drivers. If they were confident in the rain stopping, and they thought this is a good strategy to be on, why wouldn't they have pit both drivers? That's what's really confused me. We won't see the safety car in at the end of this lap, as Diego Zorzo has not caught the field. Neither has Theo. Lewis Jones and Lighty. Well, Lewis Jones, Lucas Shea, both stay out, as does Renz Thomason, who's obviously on a set of hards, Modesto Mena as well. Lewis Jones and Lucas Shea have hung themselves out to dry here.
Literally. Their tires as well, those are going to be on fire when the safety car gets in. So they're going to have to pay the consequences right now and start again from the back. This might have put a big dent into LLR's race as well, and it looks like TF10 have made a perfect decision by pitting Renz as soon as the safety car came out, because now they're back in third, which is only one position behind where they originally were. Same goes for Modesto Mena. TES will be very happy with their gamble to pit him, because he's now in fourth place, ahead of Lighty, who you can see appear in the background already. He's done some damage limitation right there. A lot of drivers are catching up right now. Theo Bulnes is not that far away either. And I'm almost certain the safety car is going to come in at the end of this particular lap. It's been out for long enough, and the game is quite tired of it. There it goes, safety car in this lap. Lewis Jones and Lucas Shea, the only drivers to remain on the intermediate tires, will probably, well, they have to come in at this lap, otherwise they'll be screwed even more. It's going to be damage limitation as much as possible, which means effectively the race leader is going to be Renz Thomason with Modesto Mena in tow. Lighty up to third position as soon as they are in, and they are holding up the field a little bit there to make sure they'll lose as little time as possible. And there they go, slowly into the pit lane they go. Renz Thomason has decided to power it down. Immediately gets a horrible exit out of the chicane. That means Modesto Mena had to hold back a little bit, but he's got a good exit still. Is he gonna try and attack into turn one? Yes, he does, and immediately goes to try and go for the lead. Oh, more disaster! Lighty there, coming into the battle of his own accord right there, as disaster strikes for Modesto. Tried to go for the lead, pushed Renz off the track, then got punted himself by the Ferrari of Lighty. All sorts of trouble then for those who were fighting for the lead. You can see in the background Nicolino and Arian Sanga fighting for a P5 right there, as they're still side by side coming out of the corner. The Aston Martin gets a little bit better traction, does go ahead of the Alpine right there. Is the Alpine going to give up? No, he's not. He pushes Arian almost off the track and himself into the wall. More accidents happen right there, allowing Alex Lamas to slot into P6. Cloud is also making his way up the field very rapidly. Nearly gets an ABS car on the inside there as well in the hairpin. A lot of things going on at the moment. Nicolino desperately starting to stay ahead of Marvin Golm right there, but it looks like the ABS driver might carry a bit more speed as ahead of them, and we might go see a 3 wide coming into the chicane. Wow, a bump from Cloud against Arian Sanga, who has to cut the corner right there. So many things happening out there all at once. Aaron Dominguez gets the fastest lap, followed by Cloud. But once again, we're going to see a move from Marvin Golm once more versus Nicolino. And Nicolino's absolutely not going to yield. He gets some backup literally right there by his teammate, allowing Marvin to slot in between them. But he's under some serious pressure, as it looks like is literally everybody else.
Yes, it is really, really interesting. Oh, the absolute send from Nathan there on Marvin Golm, who made a mistake. And look at the way that kicks out. Will get swamped up by Diego Zorzo and Matex as well. That will see Marvin down to 12th. And the place of ABS really struggling now. All of a sudden, after that incident occurred, that little lockup, as you see, oh, look at that, as Diego Zorzo battles there. That's Matex battling as well, both EVEs. Almost a bit of a wall they've put up here versus everyone else, as Nicolino is going to defend this place, or try and defend this place, versus Matex, but Ariane Sang has opened up a gap between himself and Nathan as well. Alex Lamas, though, fastest lap of the race so far, as Diego Zorzo sneaks his way into the top 10.
Yeah, Alex is absolutely flying there, and that's good news for AMR, but they do have a penalty on their hands, as does his teammate Christoph Godors. He gets overtaken by Hugo van Bon. I was also looking a little bit at the front of the field. Their fight is stabilized a little bit there. They were getting quite close to Lighty. but he held onto the position, and I think they're going to try and cooperate to get away from the rest of the field. We can already see a gap from the top 7 to Nathan right there in P8, who's just out of DRS range, which means if he isn't quick, the gap is going to get ever bigger. Through the corners he goes once again. The gap doesn't get small enough to allow him to get DRS, which means he's going to be very vulnerable from cars behind him. One of them, of course, being Matex right there. But again, onto the back straight as things are settling down a little bit. Who's going to overtake who? Aaron Mingus is getting closer and closer to Lighty. In fact, he's going to overtake him into the chicane. Before it happens, he's already done it, in fact, and takes the lead of the race for his new team. FVR right there in the Mercedes car is doing a strong job. Rens Thomason is going to do the exact same thing, but into turn 1 instead. Overtaking Lighty as well. Lighty back down to 3rd position with Modesto Mina. Once again in P4. Alex Lamas and Cloud just behind them. Aryan Sanga has now got his teammate behind with a gap just over a second. Maybe Aryan is going to hold back a little bit to allow his teammate to catch up. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that, as Christoph gets another 3-second time penalty. Not sure what he's doing, but that's really not going to help his race and get AMR some points right there.
Yeah, and given we thought he had a qualifying ban and he was just invalidating every run on purpose, he's really had not a great race at all so far, and he's not had a great qualifying. So it's been really difficult, I think, for Christoph Gödel, who's in 14th at the moment with quite a few seconds of penalties, as we see Cloud and Alex Lamas battling there, is into the hairpin. Alex Lamas with his penalty as well. There's quite a few drivers who I think have really struggled so far, as Rens Thomason, Aaron Romingas swap positions once again. Lighty probably wants to get involved with this battle as well, but his pace, it's not bad, but it's not looking quite on the same level and terms as the two drivers in front, as he's not able to get himself involved.
I saw Aryan Sanga and Cloud banging wheels into turn 1. Aryan Sanga has managed to get past the Red Bull right there. Into P6 he goes. He's back into a position where he's much more comfortable and much more used to being than the P12 he had at the start of the race due to a lap invalidation. But there he is, back in business for the ETA team, and they're going to be delighted so far with his performance. He's right behind Alex Lamas, who's got a 3-second time penalty to his name at the moment. 3 drivers so far have got a time penalty so far. Look at that. Aryan Sanga is going to go for another move into the hairpin round the outside. He's gonna have to go. Is he gonna make it work, or is he not? He just has to back out a little bit, as Alex defended quite brilliant right there, but he's gotten a poor exit due to it, having given Aryan Sanga there the opportunity to get a bit of a tow. But it looks like Alex Lamas is carrying quite a bit more straight line speed with the DRS assistance included. As we see another yellow flag for Theo, the other VRM car in trouble again. Another nightmare race then for the orange team. Meanwhile, Aryan Sanga still behind Alex Lamas, not able to get past just yet.
Yeah, really interesting. Alex Lamas defended that place. Pinpoint perfect. Left just enough room for the ETA of Aryan Sang to try and make a move, but not enough that it allowed and made it easy for the ET8 man. So literally spot on from Alex Lamas. No complaints there, I think, from anyone. And yeah, really, really well done and well defended. And they're both racing very fair and very well. That is absolutely what you want to see at this stage in the race. We are to sunshine for the time being. And I don't think it's supposed to rain between now and the checker flag. I do believe we are sunny until the end, but Aryan Sang very close to the back of Alex Lamas, who's just fallen outside of 1 second to Modesto Mena.
He still just barely has DRS, as he was within a second before the detection zone, but there comes Aryan Sanga. Breezes past quite easily. Into P5 he goes, and now he has to try and give chase to the top 4 to make sure that the gap gets closed as soon as he can. I wonder if he's going to make that work. He's very fast at the moment, one of the fastest drivers on track right at this point. Look at that, he's nearly managed to get the gap under a second. Just not close enough to do it. The top 4 is still a little bit too far away for him to get that rear wing open, but he will not be in trouble from behind because he does create the gap to the Haas. of Alex Lamas. In fact, Cloud is also getting quite close right there to Alex. He's lining him up for a move, and so is Diego Zorzo, who is the nearest rival to Cloud at the moment. There comes the Red Bull into the hairpin, trying to get past the inside. Doesn't work out just yet, allowing Diego Zorzo with another opportunity to get past as they go onto the back straight. Alex Lamas has just managed to hang on to DRS once again, with Arian also having his rear wing open. But there comes Klaus. He bullies his way past the Haas right there. Into the chicane he goes, up to P6, putting a car in between himself and his nearest rival, Diego Zorzo. But Alex Lamas might be trying and come back into turn 1. No, he doesn't. He backs out of it, stays in P7 for the time being. He's now got Diego Zorzo all over the place, but Cloud managed to get into P6 fair and square.
Yeah, I think Alex Lamas is really struggling to get into a bit of a rhythm and groove now. When you get overtaken, just place after place after place, it becomes really difficult as a driver. So I think he's probably just really, really struggling to kind of almost get into that groove and rhythm he needs to get into. Another yellow flag, and that's Theo once again. I think he's had an incident on the exit of the final corner. Probably span it round, hit it into the wall. Arian Sang, this time last lap, he was within 1 second of Modesto Mena, had the rear wing open. This time round, he doesn't have that rear wing open, so a bit of a struggle for Arian Sang, who's a couple of attempts away. Diego Zorzo makes the move on Alex Lamas now, meaning that the TF10 and FVR drivers are close together once more, and it is looking like it is pretty much this pack almost split in two now. Arian Sang really not able to gain these couple attempts that they need to gain just to get into the battle for the top 4.
Yeah, I'm looking at a sad scene right here. Lewis Jones and Lucas Shea are together, far behind the rest. I'm not sure what happened there, but their decision to not come in during the safety cars cost them so much. It cost them the win. It's cost them potentially points right there. Theo has decided to throw in the towel after the disastrous race. Another 0-point finish as Arian Sanga has got a yellow flag right there. He's around indeed. Out of the exit of turn 9, and his charge to the front of the field is halted quite abruptly and quite severely as he's now out of the race. That's an absolute disaster there for ET8, who were potentially on their way to another podium after Austria right there. That is bad news indeed, as Diego Zorzo gets past Cloud there for the position that Arian occupied only seconds ago. What a disaster. Unfortunately, I didn't catch what happened, but Byron, maybe you did.
I didn't either. I wonder if that may have been an incident and a bit of a tangle between a couple of drivers. I'd be interested to see what the race director says and if there was contact between himself and another driver, or quite what happened in all of that. But Diego Zorzo, I think that's almost stopped his race and his progress a little bit as well, because now he's having to try and gain those few tenths and a few more tenths to gain up to the back of this top 4 pack once again. So everyone seems to be getting a chance to try and catch up to the top 4, but no one is quite managing to get there. 6 tenths away from the top 4, Diego Zorzo. It is not looking easy.
No, but his teammates could help out big time by getting into the lead and then holding up this pack to make sure his teammate is there. Although that would also risk getting the second TF10 driver into the mix as well. So it's a bit of a pick your poison right there about what you should do. And Rabingas for now remains in second place, and I've been confirmed by Danny that Arian spun on his own accord, but there, Lighty nearly spins Aaron Ramingas out, not on his own accord at all. That nearly went horribly wrong, as the TTN driver nearly plowed into the back of the Mercedes car ahead of him. The fight for P2 is getting quite heated already. Diego Zorzo has managed to close the gap by about 2 tenths since the last lap, all by himself. And Ramingas cannot do anything to help him out just yet, as he's not the lead driver so far. Rens Thompson himself too has decided not to allow Cloud to get too close, because that means more drivers get involved into the fight for the lead. So probably a wise decision there indeed, as we are now about the halfway point of the race. The hard tires are 11 laps old, and I wonder if they're going to swap them around at any point.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, are we going to see a scenario where you'd hope so? You'd see a scenario where people have to pit and change tyres, but these drivers, they'll probably, if they can, take it to the end of the race. But I expect to see someone take a bit of a gamble and try a two-stop strategy as Modesto Mena makes a move on Lighty into turn number 1, tries and holds it around the outside, can't, but tries to switch back. Oh, it nearly worked as well for Modesto Mena to get up into the podium places, but this little bit of squabbling and infighting has given a couple tenths to the TF10 man behind of Cloud. So these drivers, I think, especially Lighty and Modesto Mena, they are very wary that their squabbling, their little fighting, is going to invite those behind into the fold.
Yep, so let's see what they're going to do about that. The gap is now down to 1.3-ish seconds and still shrinking somewhat. Cloud is doing a brilliant job of getting ever closer. He's got his teammate now in the lead of the race. And maybe Renz has changed his mind. In fact, the gap has gotten even smaller than that. And depending on what Modesto does this round, it might become just that moment where it becomes under 1 second. There's Lighty getting awfully close to Aaron Raminguez. I wonder if Aaron is going to allow the TTM drive to get past for the sake of working together and keeping the gap as big as possible. But look at that, 1.2 seconds between 4th and 5th. And no moves happening into turn 1. Once again, Lighty getting really close to Aaron Raminguez Mercedes right there, but this time not close enough to come into contact. Cloud now 1.1-ish seconds, and the gap is still shrinking. Might this be some controlled pace by Rens Thomason? We cannot know just yet. We might have to ask them after the race if they win it or get onto the podium. But Cloud is on the verge of allowing the rear wing to open right there. Modesto Mena, in the meanwhile, got really close to Lighty. But this would not be a wise place to make a move. Then perhaps then into the hairpin as they approach the corner right there. Turn 10 it is, but Modesto Mena is too far away. Yet Cloud is no longer too far away, or is he? Because as we approach the DRS detection zone, the gap just went over a second again. So now it's give or take. Does the rear wing open? Here we are. Yes, it does. And Diego Zorzo immediately has decided to go for the move against the TF10 driver, got a poor exit, and potentially they are now into the fight for the win as well.
Yeah, a huge place to be there for Diego Zorzo and Cloud, but Modesto Mena as well. Really good opportunity to try and make this place versus Lighty, trying to hold it around the outside, not able to make it work. Lighty is defending really well into turn number 1 here. He is doing a really solid job to try and keep this place versus that Thomas Unger Sim Racing car behind. They're already down 1 car, but the other one is performing really well.
Yes, indeed. And Diego Zorzo and his followers literally are back into the fight for the lead. All the way down to Nathan within a second of each other. So 9 cars are now with a fight for the lead, but 2 of them have penalties. Both of them, it's 3 seconds to the name of Alex Lamas. And Nathan there for the EVE car and team as well. We have also noticed Hugo von Bon is quite on his own. His teammate is leading another group of cars. And Nicolino is very lonely as well. He's decided to swap to the medium tyres. We saw him struggling hard and dropping down the order very fast indeed. So potentially he might have changed his front wing as well, which does explain the massive gap between himself and the next car of Lucas Shea, who is lost out badly under the safety car conditions. Now then, lap 21 out of 35. The oldest hard tyres are now 17 laps old, which is not yet the end of their lifespan, but certainly no longer at optimal performance either way. So we're going to find out whether they can manage to make them last until the end or not.
Yes, and I almost wonder if it's a bit of a strategic ploy from Aversio to change Nicolino onto a set of the medium tyres, because Nathan is 9th at the moment. He's got a decent gap behind him as well. He's got 8 seconds there to Hugo von Bon. Okay, if he pits, he'd have to probably overtake a lot of these cars. But, you know, I wonder if they are weighing up the possibility of putting Nathan onto the mediums by using Nicolino as a bit of a test bed to see What is the pace like? How does it compare between the two drivers? And what can we expect if we were to change over onto that two-stop strategy? So, could be interesting, and I really do wonder what is going through the minds of those EVEs as Diego Zorzo trying to make a move here on Modesto Mena, and will get around the outside of Modesto Mena, courtesy of Lighty making a mistake.
Indeed, we saw Modesto getting quite defensive on the back straight. Diego Zorzo got a good exit out of the chicane, and now he's into P4, ready to strike against Lighty. Modesto Mena was unsuccessful. Now it's Diego's turn to try, and FVR is looking stronger and stronger by the lap, as they've now got 2 drives in the top 4. Cloud is still hanging back in P6, so TF10 also not looking that bad either. The 2 rivals at the top 2 of the standings are once again almost toe-to-toe in the fight here out in Canada at lap 22. There comes Cloud on Modesto Mena. He's seen that Modesto is struggling a little bit here and there, and he's decided to go for it straight away. No success just yet. Did he give Modesto, though, a poor exit out of the corner, because he's really, really close with his Red Bull right there. He's gonna have to make it work right now. He's looking left and right. Modesto's doing the exact same thing as he did against Diego, weaving a little bit to throw him off guard, allowing himself to stay in P5 for the time being. And as opposed to Diego, Cloud is too far back to make that same dive into turn 1 that Diego did 1 lap ago, and he stays behind in P6 for the time being.
Yes, Modesto Mena defending sternly, very sternly. He does not want to give any of these places up. And some people maybe aren't liking the way in which he's defending. Think it's maybe a little bit too harsh, but he is, at the end of the day, he is fighting for position and plenty of points as well. And when you've not got a teammate as well, it makes it all the more meaningful, every point you can score. So I have no doubt that Modesto Mena is going to be doing everything he can to defend every place he can between now and that checkered flag. But Aaron Dominguez is doing a nice job in second place at the moment versus Renz Tomas, and he's going to have slightly less worn tyres, so I think Aaron Dominguez might be biding his time a little bit to make that overtake, just knowing that that pace is going to progressively fall off the cliff for Renz Tomas, and just that little bit quicker than it is for himself. So keep an eye on Aaron Dominguez. I do expect to see him get into that battle, into the fold very nicely towards the end of this race. But lap 24 of 25, if we were to see someone take a gamble on that two-stop strategy, you would expect it to be within the next lap or two.
Yes, indeed. I wonder when exactly they're planning to do it. Undercuts, overcuts, which one will work best here? As the track is completely dried out right now. There's no more rain on its way right now. We can only see sun and potentially a little bit of clouds as the race lasts a bit longer than it should be. Diego Zorzo, in the meanwhile, getting really close to Lighty right there to help FVR to another podium place. He dives on the hairpin right gear, gets punted by Modesto at the same time. And that means Lighty still has that podium place to himself, but how much longer? Because Diego is still side by side. He sees Aaron Dominguez giving him a bit of a tow, allowing him to get past. Brilliant teamwork right there by FVR to allow Diego Zorzo to get onto the podium. Very, very sharp right there from Aaron Dominguez. And there comes Lighty now under threat from Modesto Mena. Once again, is the Williams finally going to be successful? Were you wheel begging from the Williams and the Ferrari right there? And at long last, Modesto is past, but nearly taking them both out of the race as he struggled to get to grips with his tires, literally right there. But back into P4 he goes. Yes, he's past Lighty, but no, he's still not in P3.
Yes, really difficult, I think, for Modesto Mena. He seems to be struggling a little bit, I think, in this race, and maybe not quite as calm and level-headed as other drivers. It does appear that some of the moves he's going for maybe a little bit far-reaching versus what maybe is realistic, but Cloud eyeing up a possible move on Lighty. So this could be a man who was, you know, at one point leading the race and really in the fold of this, you know, and in with a good chance here. Falling down possibly out of that top 5, just because Cloud is looking very strong as well. And, well, with the way that Modesto Mena defends that place, it really does leave Lighty susceptible behind, but it doesn't even need Modesto Mena to try and make a move, as Cloud tries it around the outside of turn number 2 and 3 and not able to make it. In fact, Alex Lamas gets past Cloud in the process.
Yeah, to be fair, Lighty pushed him a little bit too close to the wall, and I believe Cloud nearly had to press his brakes right there a bit harder than he would have liked, and that allowed Alex Lamas past, so it might be that Cloud is not too happy at the moment in the Red Bull. We'll have to find out, though, what the whether it's get reported or not, because it's cost him a position no matter what way you look at it. But either way, Cloud is once again on the roll, trying to get back past Alex Lamas. Into the hairpin they go for the 26th time. We are reaching the big finale of this race, you'll have to say, and Rens Thomason is in trouble because he's got 2 TF10 drivers around him who can, or sorry, FVR drivers around him who can work together to make his life an absolute nightmare. He's gonna have to negotiate the both of them, and he's now down to P3. Diego Zorzo and Aaron Dominguez have managed to get an FVR 1-2. A bit of a classic slide if you look at the previous season, as they now lead the race once more.
Yes, FVR, whenever you want them to be in control, they will somehow find a way to be in control of a race. 1 and 2 at the moment, but no shortage of competition behind. There's plenty of drivers in the fold of this, and in the chance of realistically getting themselves very nicely involved with this fight as well. Modesto, Rens Thomason, obviously, who was there already, Lighty, Alex Lamas, Cloud, pretty much everyone in this top 9 looks really strong and looks really in the hunt. Nicolino retiring from the race, doesn't see there a possible safety car between now and the checkered flag. Modesto Mena thought about a move on Rens Thomason, can't make the move on Rens Thomason, and will have a bit of a compromised exit. Won't lead to anything bad in terms of losing a place, but look towards the front, nearly 3 wide, and well, Rens Thomason has well, definitely thought about a move on Diego Zorzo.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be seriously difficult to find a way past, because the Mercedes can just literally turn themselves into a big wall on wheels, to be fair. Because that's what they're doing right now. They're doing everything to... Oh, there's some retired cars there causing some serious trouble. Nicolino's Alpine, who's come back out of the pit lane, is not ghosting. And that nearly turned out very disastrous for all of these drivers indeed. But yeah, as I was saying, the Mercedes cars can just turn themselves into a wall. You saw Rens Thomason looking left, right, and center, literally try to find a way past, but he couldn't. And he's still got to look behind, because there's Modesto Mena, who's very, very eager to get into the podium, despite his penalty to his name. 3 seconds added to it, which means Lighty's got a bit of an easier job. There he goes, Rens Thomason. He's got to get past.
Oh,
there's
look at Modesto Mena!
One dive bomb pushes the Diego Zorzo wide, and the wall has been broken, shattered into pieces as they go 3 wide into the back straight. Rens Thomason's got an opportunity here to get back in second place. Modesto Mena sees you. Oh, there goes a Ferrari. There goes Lighty. Spins out of control, out of nowhere.
Oh,
and
there's a safety car
result, which turns the race around completely for everybody. FVR looked like they had it under control. Then there was Modesto Mena.
No!
Rens believe his luck. Lighty then spun out. I'm not sure what happened there, but man, oh man, has this changed things around.
Right. Penny for the thoughts of Nicolino. The man retired a lap ago, and if he just left it 1 more lap, he would have been in this race again. But the entire top 8 absolutely shafted here, because Lighty, who caused the safety car by going into the wall, has been able to change his front wing, change his tyres, and now probably has the best chance of winning the race.
Unbelievable.
Also,
the safety car he caused himself,
yes,
might have just won in the race.
Possibly, but look behind. Ariane Sang, Hugo Fontbon, Lewis Jones, Marvin, Christoph, especially those minus Lewis Jones, soft compound tyres. I think that's the right compound to be taken to the end of this race, because 2 laps under this safety car, say we get back underway going on to lap 32, well, all of a sudden, those soft tyres, you're only going to be using them for 2-3 laps. You're not going to lose any pace there. So I actually think Lighty might have been better off on a set of softs, but he's going to have much better pace than those hards in front.
But this is extraordinary news for ABS as well, because there comes the entire top 8, except for Aaron Ramingas and Modesta Mina.
This is not...
They stayed out.
I think this is a huge blunder. Because where will these guys come out? Rens Thomassen, who was the leader of the group that came into the pit lane, comes out in 8th. Oh dear, that is, well, that is not ideal at all for Rens Thomassen or any of these drivers. So TF10, you've got to say, hugely disadvantaged here, especially with the double stack. Cloud now in the last points paying position, all the way down in 15th. Rens Thomassen 8th in the mid pack. That is really not good for, well, pretty much any of the top teams. Quite good for those who aren't always at the top of the order.
Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say that ABS is by far the biggest winner out of the safety car. They were driving around in the back in the midfield all race. They started with a double qualifying ban. They find themselves in P4 and P7 with 2 cars ahead of them that are on ancient hard tires. There's no way they're going to last the length of the race remaining. 5 laps to come with soft compound tires and mediums behind, especially those on the softs, are going to be absolutely flying. So on paper, Hugo van Bon could be the race winner, but Aryan Sanga is there as well. Marvin Gom, Rens Thomassen, who's got the freshest softs at the highest position at the moment. So this is fascinating to watch. And what is going to happen here? Amber Mingus and Modesta Mina have got a mountain to climb. Potentially that mountain might be too high. And there they go then through the chicane for the final 6 times to come with 5 laps remaining as the race continues for the second time. There's Modesta Mina immediately with a dive into turn 1. They're going to be a huge roadblock for those behind. Chaos is starting to ensue already. There is Lighty going past both of them already.
Modesta showed the wall.
Aryan Sanga, Hugo van Bon, there they go. Modesta Mina is dropping out fast, and there he goes. Nearly spins around. He's got no grip on those old hards. And Ramingus is dropping down fast as well. It was to be expected that they will be roadblocks on wheels right there on those old hard tires. But so far, major disaster has been avoided with Modesta dropping down fast. So does Ramingus. He's now probably has to let his teammate through it as soon as he can. He's down to P6. Diego's right behind. There they go, swapping positions. Nice and easy does it, but might it be too late for Diego already then? In the meanwhile, in the front of them, Hugo van Bon goes up into 3rd place as Aryan Sanga chases down Lighty's Ferrari on those medium tires. And now the gloves are off properly. What are they going to do on these final few laps? Who's going to come out of the winner? We'll find out very soon.
Yeah, going to be really interesting here. Aryan Sang, you've got to say, has got a really good chance here. But look at Hugo Fontbon as well. That is a man who could be about to take a podium for ABS of all teams. The team that we were saying at the start of this race were nowhere. Could have a bit of an EVE story. We're out of nowhere. Circumstances sling their way and they're in contention for a good result here. Aryan Sang, though, look at the way he's closed all the way up to the back of Lighty now. Only a few attempts separate the pairing, and pretty much the entire field within 1 second of each other at this late stage in the race as well. It is going to be really, really difficult for all of these drivers. They've got such little space to work with and a lot riding on everything. Rens Thomassen down the inside. Oh, nearly going 3 wide. That's not going to work for Rens Thomassen. In fact, it's been worse for Rens Thomassen than it has been for the 2 people he was trying to make a move on. Hugo Fontbon could be about to get knocked off the podium. He won't get knocked off the podium by virtue of that poor exit that everyone seemed to have. Lewis Jones can't get into the frame. Rens Thomassen invited into the fold.
There he goes. He nearly had to come together with Diego Zorzo as well. He wants to get past because once again, this is a golden opportunity for either TF10 or FER to get a huge gap to their rivals. And now they're literally side by side almost, as the camera got me a little bit of guard right there. It's Diego Zorzo then still behind the Dutchman as we are now lap 33 out of 35. It's still a raging battle out in front with Arjen Sanga holding back for now, allowing Hugo van Boon to stay within the lead of the race, and there he's still in the podium places. They can't believe their luck at ABS. Yes, Marvin Golm has retired, but they still have Hugo at the front of the field. I'm not sure what happened with Marvin. He is out of the race. He retired in the pit lane. That is super unfortunate. It might have been a bigger dream result, but there comes Lewis Jones on the medium tires, but Hugo's got the superior grip. He stays ahead. Behind them, there's a huge pile-up of cars as well. Who's got the best exit right there? Looks like Lewis Jones does have the better exit, despite having the compound that has got less grip, but Hugo van Boon, by some miracles, stays ahead. Tappings right there, and there goes the podium for the ABS team as he tried to get past Arjen a little bit too late. Arjen, of course, had already started to make the corner, and Hugo had no chance right there to make it work. He now desperately tries to save some more points for the team, trying to stay ahead of Alex Lamas, who does have a penalty anyway. Hugo van Boon now down to P6. Rens Thomason up to 4th. Diego up to P5. Lewis onto the podium right there after the disaster that was the first safety car, going in way too late to switch to the hards. He's back in business and potentially on for a win if he can make sure that Arjen Sanga gets moved out of the way.
Yes, Arjen Sang really not able to get past Lighty, and it's really interesting. We thought that those softs would be the obvious choice. If not quite been as an obvious choice as I think we were expecting, with many a driver struggling more so versus those medium compound sizes. We begin in a second the final lap of action. Lewis Jones has made the move versus Arjen Sang. Those softs didn't hold up, I think, as well as we were expecting, and maybe those who decided on them as well. I think they may be a little bit surprised about how little pace they've managed to get out of them, but now onto that final lap of action. Lighty, Lewis Jones, Arjen Sang the podium at the moment, but Arjen Sang a 3-second time penalty.
That's a big rip for ET8. That's a disaster. And Ramirez gets the same problem, but he's in P13 on those ancient hard tires. And now the ultimate moment. Can LR still scrape a win after the disaster that was the first safety car? TTM, of course, the same story. They had Lucas Shea, who went in too late, but they've still got Lighty for the win. Indeed, the mediums are now faster. Arjen Sanga has to hold off against Thomason one more time as they go into the hairpin, but there's the Red Bull side by side with the Aston Martin. Even though he doesn't really need to overtake Arjen on track, it's probably better to be safe than sorry. But to the front of the field we go. There is Lewis Jones. Lighty is now on the inside using all of his ERS, but Lewis Jones, of course, carries more speed. Lighty's got no choice but to back out of it. And Lewis Jones, after the disaster at the start of the race, still manages to take victory at long last for NLR. They are back on top with Lighty on second place. Rens Thomason, despite everything that happened, still finishes in third. And Diego's got a brilliant recovery as well, finishing fourth, and keep the celebrations going for Hugo van Boon in P number 5.
Yes, what a result for Hugo as well. Fifth place is really the maximum they were probably even conceiving that they could get in a race as chaotic as this. So, really great result. The fact they had a chance on the podium as well, absolutely brilliant for them. But, take about Lewis Jones, that is quite a way to take a race win. Down and out at the start, but a brilliant recovery drive.
I mean, he started from pole, then of course everything went terribly wrong, but he still managed to get out victorious. Now, if that isn't driver of the day material, I do not know what is. There it is, confirmation. Lewis Jones, winner of the race. Lighty second, Rens Thomason third, Diego Zorzo P4, Hugo van Boon from last to P5. Another driver of the day material there for you. Arjen Sanga P6, Matex P7, and a strong result there for ET8. Lucas Shea in P8, Nathan there in P9 is where he started from. McLeod in P10, Alex Lamas P11, Aaron Ramirez in P12, Christophe Godor P13, Modesto Mina in P14, and the fastest lap of the race as well. And the retirees, of course, being Marvin Golm, Nicolino, Theo Bones, Victor Arago, and Steven Vaso.
Indeed, yes. Lewis Jones, your Race winner Lighty, Rens Tomasin, Diego Zorza, Hugo Fontbon, Ariane Sang, Matex, Lucas Shea, Nathan and Cloud, rounding out your all-important top 10 after those provisional penalties from the game were applied. Then Alex Lamas, Raminguez, Christophe Godor, Modesto Mena, your final finisher there in 14th, and then 5 retirees, Marvin Golm, Nicolino, Theo, Victor, and Stephen Vasso. What a race, up and down, and a bit of an NLR sandwich of the entire field. 19th and 1st. NLR sandwiching the field.
Yeah, that's a humongous sandwich.
It is a humongous sandwich. And
not the sandwich they wanted, though.
No, they would have preferred a sandwich towards the top with both killers, but they will absolutely take a race win today.
Not to mention the fact that TF10 slightly extends their lead, I believe, on FVR, if my calculations were correct, with Cloud and Rens finishing slightly better than Diego and Aaron. Of course, the expectations for both FVR drivers were high until Aaron decided to stay out, finishing almost in last place. Diego, of course, managed to get very close to the win, but not close enough yet. We're also waiting for the drivers in the top 3 to get into the waiting room. But so far, no success.
Yes, well, I don't particularly, especially these drivers, they're already going off in the Discord and talking about everything that's just happened over the last hour or so. A lot of talking points out of that one. The racing standards were interesting, and a lot is being said around Modesto Mena coming out of that one. Quite a few drivers have already said, in fact, a few even managers have just said, get your driver under control. So, a scathing review from quite a few people regarding how some drivers have looked performance-wise. Definitely not the cleanest of races we've seen.
No, I'm currently looking at the standings being updated live as I speak, which will allow me to see what the gap was and what the gap is going to be. It was 37 points between the top 2. It's now indeed increased to 44 points. And yes, LR has gotten their first win of the season with Lewis Jones, and of course 2 extra points for pole position, which is another great result for them. Yes, they've got one driver who didn't finish the race, but this is so much better than they've had all season long, and they are getting within 5 points of ET8 for P4 right now. As TTM themselves, with a strong result, make their 3rd position in the standings a lot stronger as well, which is great news for them. They are now 65 points behind FVR, which means they are still within reach. But it's going to be very difficult with 2 rounds remaining. Other than that, let's see, ABS has managed to close their gap to VRM to 21 points. That means it's pretty much halved since last race. EV hangs on to P8 with Nathan's strong result. AMR stays in 7th place, and TES is still in P6 despite everything that has happened. 3 points for the fastest lap and P14.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah, well, I mean, just a race, and I think the stewards are going to have a lot in their minds and a lot of things to discuss. A lot of talk being around the possibility of TES having another race ban just from the driving standards tonight from their one driver. So it's really interesting. These drivers, they are racing drivers at the end of the day. They might be virtual racing drivers, but they treat it like the real thing, and they absolutely are right to be annoyed when another driver maybe doesn't display the same standards that everyone else upholds. But I think it's going to be a lot of talking points next time out.
Definitely, yes. Speaking of next time out, since there's nobody we can interview, unfortunately, it's a shame, really. Next time out, we're going to Saudi Arabia, and that is going to be an interesting track with the walls that close. And with what we saw tonight, we could see some more drama potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty more drama probably to come a week from today. Saudi Arabia really is a difficult circuit to get a real grip on so fast, that circuit. And then another one of the Saudi countries, not companies. It is Abu Dhabi to round off our season in the UAE. But two good tracks to end off the season. Two circuits that a lot of these drivers really do like and enjoy. And, well, you can overtake at both tracks quite well as well. Abu Dhabi more so since they made all those changes to it those couple years ago. Gonna be a really interesting end to this season.
We've got somebody in the waiting room, by the way. It's our race winner. So, the view after all, which is great news. So let's drag in our race winner, Lewis Jones. There he is. Very eager probably to tell us about his race. Lewis, first and foremost, a big congratulations to you. I hope you can hear us. That race had a lot of ups and a lot of downs as well. So please take us through them.
Yeah, I mean, on that safety car, while it was drying up, I didn't get a clear answer to pit or not. So,
Ooh.
I mean, went down to last and got quite lucky with that safety car at the end. I managed to get through when I needed to.
Yeah, of course. You opted for the medium tires. Was that the better choice?
Yeah, I was speaking with my engineers before I pit, and the softs we knew we were going to just die off by the end. So we went with mediums.
Of course, this is a very obvious question, but at the start of the race, starting from pole, then dropping down the order, back up into the lead, did you expect this race to go in this sort of way?
No, not at all.
Byron, anything from you?
Well, I suppose, Lewis, obviously, it's been a bit of a, I suppose, more difficult season for NLR than you may have wanted. Is this a good building block to take good future performance from? And how confident are you guys feeling for these final two rounds of Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi?
After the race, I was speaking with my engineers and people in the team, and we're just really confident that we can build on results like this. And now we got the luck and the confidence we need, then I think we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the final two tracks, Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia, are they ones you're feeling confident for? Are the team looking good in terms of performance for there? Or are we maybe thinking it's not going to be quite the race win next time out?
Well, I know Saudi Arabia, we have two drivers that are comfortable driving there. I'm not sure about Abu Dhabi, but I know Saudi Arabia, we can get a good result.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will let you go off into the sunset and enjoy the good result. But congratulations, a real up and down race for you, but you can definitely be satisfied with that one.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Right.
Well, that is officially now all we've got time for. But what a round that has been. Really, really interesting into that one. And I am so excited for the final two rounds of this. There's still so much more fighting to be done.
And there's still a championship to seal. I mean, TF10 can do it next week. They've got a 44 points advantage right now. There is a total of how many points to score? 65, I believe. 68 points, I think.
For us.
68, yeah. 68 points per race. So there's still every opportunity for FVR to get back in business. However, that means that TF10 only needs 25 more points than FVR to seal the deal next week in Saudi Arabia. So we're going to have to strap our seats and enjoy that battle to come.
Indeed. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to bring you round 10 of Competitive Speed Series. 2 more rounds to go. We head to the desert of Saudi Arabia. Next time out, the Jeddah Corniche circuit for round number 11. Will we see TF10 take the championship there, or will they have to bide their time one more round, or can FER claw it back? Well, until this time next week when we return for round 11. Bye-bye.
Welcome back to the competitive sports
The
series.
absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that
I
place?
cannot believe my
Who
eyes.
comes out on top? Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all or nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NBR.
A race to remember with Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a season.